Okay, this is number 3, and what I've chosen here is I've chosen an A2 question which involves AS principles, and this will suit the old course which we're now doing in the year 2014, but it will also fit in with the new course which also starts in September 2015. Right, so this was the question that appeared on the exam paper. Now, I say the question, those numbers just appeared, and then as candidates you had to react to them and get as much out as possible. Now, this was one of the times when my students really messed up this paper, and very few students even used this data. And what I always say is that when you see data, just manipulate the data and you will bound to be able to use it in your answer. Now, this information here was probably worth 3 grades, and it's primarily Unit 1, but there is also some Unit 2 ideas in here, and there's one A2 idea in here which I'll look at. And I'll also look at the idea of cash and profit. So today, on this session, we're looking at profits, break even, gross profit margin, net profit margin, return on capital employed, which we haven't done before, payback, cash flow, and cash and profit, although we'll be looking at those in more detail later on in the course. Okay, so you're faced with this information on here, and it's saying that this company wants to spend £10 million on this project. Now, what you really need to do is then you need to look to see how much money they have, and you will find that out from some of the data. Okay, but we haven't got that data with us now, but £10 million is probably a lot of money for most companies. They've got £30,000 worth of, sorry, they reckon they'll do 30,000 sales. The selling price is 100 quid, the variable cost is 50 quid, and the fixed costs are 1 million. So what can we work out from that? From here, we should be able to work out a net profit statement or an income statement. So we do 30,000 times 100, which is 3 million, 30,000 times 50, which is 1.5 million. That means you have a gross profit of 1.5 million. Your fixed costs are 1 million, so therefore your net profit is 0.5 million pounds a year. Now, that may sound as if it's quite good, but you have to do that in relation to the figures that you have. But when we're also going through this, we can work out the gross profit margin, which would be gross profit divided by sales revenue times 100. So your gross profit here is 1.5 million, your sales revenue is 3 million, times 100 and 50%. What does that tell us? That tells us that we're making 50% on each good that we sell, which is a reasonable amount of money to make. It's got a high margin. We say that good is a high value added if you're able to make 50% on a particular good. It's not massive. If you're selling a bottle of water, it may well be as much as 90%, but 15% is pretty high. Tesco's, their gross margins are actually quite low. The net profit margin. The net profit margin here is 0.5 million. 0.5 million divided by 3 million. 0.5 million divided by 3 million. And to work that out in my head, I think that is roughly 16.5%, something like that. Okay, so 16.5%. That also sounds quite good. But this figure here is really important, and we call this one ROCE, or return on capital employed. This shows us how much money we are making on the amount of money that's been invested. And it is the most critical figure, because obviously if you're making 0.5 million and you've only invested £1, this is a really good investment. But here, they made 0.5 million on £10 million times 100 over 1, and that will come out as 5%. Now, that's not particularly high. You can earn 3% from a bank, which is purely safe with no risk attached. So to only be making 5%, you would probably reject that. If you wanted to borrow money these days for a business, you'd probably be paying at least 10%. So in the case of that, that is a low return on capital employed. The other thing that we can also work out is that the payback period, if you're going to get 0.5 million pounds a year, is going to be 20 years. And that's because 10 million divided by 0.5 million is 20 years. That is a very long time, and you may have a cash problem. Obviously, a business without cash is going to go bust. So we can work out all of those. We can also work out that the break-even point is 20,000. Okay, 1 million divided by 50 is 20,000, and we hopefully will sell 30,000. So clearly you can believe from that you're going to be making a profit. So in terms of analysing that, these look as if they're quite good until we get to return on capital employed and the payback, and we may say that this is not a particularly good investment to make. So from here, just from that information, we've been able to work out profit of the new venture, the break even, the gross margin, the net margin, and return on capital employed and payback. There's a distinction between cash and profit, and I would certainly be worried about that firm's cash position if it's going to take 20 years to pay it back. If you're going to put all that down, that is an extra 15 marks on the paper. If you know your stuff really well, to see that and to create all of that is probably going to take you 2 or 3 minutes, and you're into the paper, and if you can analyse it well, you're going to get 3 extra grades, 2 or 3 extra grades on the paper, just from that one piece of information. Okay, but it's primarily Unit 1, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 2, Unit 2, Unit 1, 2 and 3 because it's to do with cash, and Unit 1, 2 and 3 because it's to do with cash. Okay, thank you.